Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gary, and today I'm going to run through my spud story. This year with the garden, the plan was to get new potatoes on the go, big spuds in here, and see how it turned out. Proper year dedicated to potatoes. Built this out of an old pallet I found on the side of the road. Thought, let's get a massive bed ready to grow some spuds, ready for Christmas, ready for a nice autumn harvest. And this is me building the pallet and growing the spuds. Back at the end of April in some nice weather, I started building a pallet box out of an old pallet I found on the side of the road. Not very pretty to look at, but functional nevertheless, and free. Once it's finished, I got it in position and I started filling it full of my homemade compost. And then I started putting in the seed potatoes I picked up from B&Q. I gave the potatoes plenty of space to grow, and the soil and compost is only halfway up. So as the potatoes grow, you can add more compost, more soil, and get a better yield of potatoes. So they say. Fast forward a couple of weeks into mid-May and the potatoes are looking good. They're shooting up and we've got some good greenery on top. 4 weeks later and they are looking really, really good. Loads of greenery. I've added more compost, more soil to lift the soil level up to hopefully get more potatoes. But then I got busy at work. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, I would say, been really busy setting up Carby Coffee in Winchester. I've kind of neglected my garden a little bit, hence my leeks have turned into flowers. And the potatoes look like they've all died away. So I think that's all from the dry weather. So today we're going to try and salvage the disaster and see if there's any spuds down there. I'm presuming as they had like 6 to 8 weeks to go, they're probably going to be a bit small, but let's try and use them for a real tasty brunch dish. So if you are an avid vegetable gardener and you grow potatoes, maybe you can let me know what's gone wrong. I had really nice green foliage all across here, and then I think the dry weather's turned it all into straw. Obviously when you grow potatoes you can cut the greenery away, and that preserves potatoes for a period of time. So let's take a look and see what we got. So rather than using a fork or a spade, these might damage the potatoes, I'm going to dig down with my bare hands. And we've struck gold. There's some spuds. And then one after another, they start popping out of the soil. Like I predicted, a little bit small, like large new potatoes, because they didn't have time to fully grow to their full size. But nevertheless, looking good. And definitely something we can cook and use in the kitchen. Also organic, homegrown in my own compost. So let's get them out of the ground, get them in the tray, and get them into the kitchen. And even though it's a bit early, there's nothing quite like harvesting your own vegetables from your own garden. Very, very satisfying. Now we've got a tray full, let's get them in the kitchen and give them a good wash. And like I said earlier, I've got loads of leek flour, so I'm going to use some of these on my dish to give it a real oniony flavour. Sorry bees, they're loving the flowers. Now luckily, I found a few big ones in there, which is perfect for our dish today. We're going to wash these and grate these up. We need to give them a really good wash now to get all that soil and dirt off, because they're not going to see the water again, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Give the sides a good wipe down, keep the kitchen clean, important as always. So what are we going to make today? I know it's been a while since my last video. I've been really, really busy in Winchester. So today, actually this dish came around me thinking about what the next menu at Carby in Winchester could be. And as a chef with lots of years of experience before you, your brain kind of sections off all the menus you did in the past. And then before social media, you didn't have that record of photographs of things you cooked. So it wasn't until about a week ago, I was thinking to myself, oh, galettes. When I was working in the Alps, we used to do a galette menu, which is basically a massive potato rosti. Potato rosti is grated potato, just cooked down and fried, sticks together like a big potato cake. And we basically had a galette menu, which is kind of a daytime menu, but I was thinking to myself, for Winchester, this may be perfect. The galette menu is basically a massive fried rosti, and it had the option of a fried English breakfast on top, or it had like smoked salmon, creme fraiche and caviar, or it had wild mushrooms, spinach and goat cheese on top. I suppose the closest thing you could resemble it to is kind of like a pizza, but it had a potato rosti base and then things on top. And I think this would be a great addition to the Winchester food market. We're going to do a big potato rosti using potatoes I just harvested from my own garden. As you know, garden to kitchen is one of my favourite ways to cook. And here we go. We're going to use my potatoes to make a big potato rosti, top it with full English. That's going to be my breakfast today. Let's see how it turns out. Let's cook.
Okay, so now our potatoes are washed, we are going to give them a good grating.
We are going to use the largest size of the grater to get the potatoes through as fast as possible, because they're going to go brown pretty fast and you want to get a good bit of texture to your potato. So this side of the grater is absolutely fine. Now, if you haven't noticed before, as you're grating potatoes, you get kind of a white liquid coming off the potato. This is actually pure starch inside the potato. And for this dish, we want the starch to stay in the potato to help it stick together. If you're making chips, you want to wash this starch off so they don't stick together in the fryer. But we want the starch to help the potato join together into a great big potato cake while it's cooking in the frying pan. So starch is important in this dish. And as I was saying, you want to grate the potato as fast as you can, because you don't really want the potato to discolour, because it's going to be a discoloured potato rosti. So get that potato grated as fast as possible, and then we're going to give it a nice seasoning with some fresh sea salt. When I say fresh sea salt, I literally just mean salt. Why I said fresh, I don't know. Right, now we're going to massage that salt into the potato to get it nicely seasoned all round. Next up, we're going to get a nice clean tea towel and lay it out somewhere where we can squeeze the water out of the potato. So the aim of this is to remove all the moisture, all the water from the potato, and this is going to help it fry nice and dry in the frying pan. Now, once your potato's in there, take each corner of the tea towel, lift it up, and then slowly turn it around, twisting it, and that'll help squeeze the potato. And as you twist, you'll see all that potato water coming out. Next up, we want to get the frying pan onto the heat to get some nice heat in there. Non-stick frying pan ideally. Next, we're going to add a good slug of olive oil. This olive oil is going to help the potato fry in the pan. If the pan's too dry, it's not going to fry the rosti. This is the sound you're listening for. A nice sizzle as a potato enters the pan. And as you can see, as the potato cooks, it's going to start sticking together with that natural starch in the potato. You want to get enough potato in there to get a nice potato cake. And as it's cooking, you want to see the sizzling oil around the outside. This means you're getting a nice fry on the potato and the pan's not too dry. Now, using the back of a spatula, I'm just going to push that down to help the potato join together to stick into a potato cake. I'm pushing the edges around the outside to help shape it into a nice circle. Then a couple of knobs of butter on the outside. This is going to help give you a nice brown colour. The butter's going to flavour the potato and enrich the potato rosti. Now at this stage, you want to check underneath to make sure it's not burning. Potato should stick together nicely like this. Give it a flip, nice brown colour on one side. Now we just want to repeat that colour on the other side and cook the potato through the middle. Moving the pan like this will help give it a nice circular shape. Turn it over again, just make sure the potatoes cook through to the middle. And now it's time to get my new Kato knife out as we start to get the full English ingredients for the top of the rosti ready. This knife's razor sharp, it's already had the end of my fingernail off, so new knives, be careful. I think I'm used to my old blunt knives. They just used to bounce off my fingernails. Right, I'm gonna get some nice button mushrooms, cut them in half. I want a nice flat edge on the mushroom to give it a nice sear when we cook it. Got some tomatoes here from the greenhouse, just gonna cut those in half again. Nice red and orange colour. This is gonna add a nice little bit of colour to the top of our full English rosti. Right. Now I've got a hot pan ready, got some more olive oil in there or vegetable oil, and now we're going to sear the mushrooms nice and hot to get a good bit of flavour in there and a nice bit of colour on the mushrooms. I like to cook the mushrooms like I'm cooking a steak, so I'm turning the flat edge around onto the pan to give them a nice sear, season them up nicely, and then as they colour, I'm going to get a knob of butter in there to foam them up in the butter, which set my smoke alarm off. Now tomatoes only need seconds, so I'm going to sear those in the hot pan, get them tossed in with the mushrooms and the butter, and then a few chopped chives just to help get that flavour into the tomatoes. Now we're going to flip the rosti out onto a plate. Got a nice warm plate here, warm plate keeps the food nice and warm. And once that's on the plate, we're going to start plating up the full English on top. I'm going to fry off 2 free-range eggs. When I'm frying eggs, I make sure the pan's not too hot. I don't want it to like spit up and bubble everywhere. Some people like that, but I got a medium heat for the pan, cooking it in the same pan as a rosti, so it's always got some flavour in there already. I'm just going to fry the eggs nice and gently to give them a good cook. I'm going to add a bit of spice to my full English breakfast. Our fridge has got 0 sausages in, so I'm going to take this nice piece of chorizo, I'm going to fry that off with the tomatoes and the mushrooms and get a nice bit of flavour into there, get the fat out of the chorizo and give it a little searing. And now time to plate up. Fried eggs are going on first. Gonna put the 2 fried eggs on top of the nice warm rosti. Next up, on goes the chorizo. Let's get that chorizo on top of there as well, and those fats and oils will still continue leaking out of the chorizo onto the rosti. Next, the seared mushrooms cooked in butter, a little bit of salt, then the tomatoes, and I popped 2 rashers of bacon straight into the air fryer to get them nice and crispy to go on top. Also, I was running out of frying pans. Look at that, crispy bacon on top of there, and then there's my leek flowers from the garden, just to give it a little oniony crunch. Now that is a breakfast, brunch, or lunch. And why not finish it with a big dollop of my homemade sriracha sauce. Recipe is here if you need it. Look at that, delicious and super tasty.
There we go, just so I remember, beautifully crisp galette made out of my homegrown potatoes, 2 fried free-range eggs, some crispy bacon, some seared chorizo, some little tomatoes from the greenhouse, some sauteed mushrooms, just nicely seasoned, knob of butter, and of course, spice it up with a bit of my homemade sriracha sauce. Videos up here if you want to see the recipe. Let's go and tuck in. It looks delicious and it smells even better. Okay, well it was definitely a lot sunnier yesterday. I'm looking forward to eating outside, but I'm going to eat outside anyway because outdoor eating makes everything taste better. Looks delicious, smells delicious. It's like a full English breakfast sat on a perfect hash brown made from my homegrown potatoes. So while I dig into this, enjoy it and give it my full focus, please remember to like and subscribe to the video if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Where do you start? Homegrown potatoes, homegrown tomatoes. In you go. That's amazing. See you next time. Give it a try at home. Happy cooking. It's like a full English brush. It's like a full English brush.